Hi guys, my name is Priscilla from Priscilla's Craft Shop, and my goal is to teach you how to crochet. I'm going to make other videos teaching you how to understand the crochet terminology, how to read a pattern, and how to learn all of the stitches that come with crocheting. But first, you need to know the basics. If you see something you want to make, let's say a hat, a scarf, or a baby blanket, there's most likely a pattern attached. The pattern is just a simple instructional guide on how to make that item. In the pattern, you're going to see something called the supply list. Supplies are everything the creator of the pattern used to make that item. So you need to follow along with that list. First is going to be the yarn. The creator of the pattern is going to write what brand of yarn they use, what color, and what number. Now, the important thing to pay attention to is the number. Yarn comes in all different types of numbers. You have the fine 1 and 2, you have 3, you have worsted weight 4, you have the bulky 5 and 6. All it is yarn going from very thin thread-like to thicker, bulkier type of yarn. You don't have to worry because on the package itself, it says the number yarn 4, right? This is a good thing to know because if I tell you I'm using loops and thread impeccable yarn in white number 4 for this particular pattern, and you go to your local craft store and you cannot find that brand, don't feel like you're necessarily locked in or you can't make it because you can't find the particular brands. All you have to do is, if you're making it in white, find another white yarn that's the same number, worsted weight number 4, and then your pattern will come out the same. The next thing on the supply list is hook size. So the hook size goes according to this. So on average, we mainly use maybe the H hook or the I hook, but they come in all different sizes. You have the bigger ones, you see that? You have even smaller ones, very tiny. It's important that you pay attention to the hook size in the pattern because the item size is based on the hook size. Not only that, but you'll also see what hook is recommended with the yarn. Along with the number of yarn, you'll see what hook is recommended for that particular type of yarn. So they'll use bigger hook sizes for bulkier yarn, smaller for the smaller yarn, for the thinner yarns, and things like that. Another thing you're going to need is a threading needle. Same thing as a sewing needle, except if you see the eye is large enough to fit yarn through. And this is used to sew up any loose ends and fasten off. And I'm going to make a video showing you how to do that. You need a pair of scissors. You need measuring tape. Now this is good to have on hand because if, let's say, you're making a hat and they tell you continue pattern to hat reaches 18 inches, you want to be able to measure that out and make sure that you're doing it the right measurement in order to get the item to look the way it looks on the pattern. A couple more things that you don't necessarily need, but I like to have on hand are, one is a stitch marker. So it looks like a little lock, and that's exactly what it does. You hook this end into your stitch, and then you lock it. And it becomes a little lock around the stitch. And this is a good thing to have because sometimes the pattern does not call for you to join. It calls for you to work in rounds, which means you don't have an exact endpoint where you can see, okay, that's the beginning, this is the end. You have to kind of work, and sometimes you get kind of lost. So if you have a stitch marker, you place it in your beginning round, and you go, and that way you know where you begin, where you end, and where you begin. You take it out, you place it again, and you keep going forward. Another thing that I like to have on hand is a stitch counter or row counter, whatever it is that you need it for. This marks, you move it along and it marks however many stitches or rows you're going for. This is a good thing to have, especially if you're making something in rounds, again, where you don't necessarily have a start, end, or finish. Those sometimes can kind of be hard to know what kind of row you're on, especially if the stitches are a little tight. So it's good to have this and kind of measure it out, and that way you know where you left off, especially if you have to put the item down, if you have kids running around, if you have a lot of stuff going on and you can't really focus. This is a good way to let you know where you're at all times. Okay, guys, so those are my basics for what you need to begin to crochet. If you have any other pointers that you felt I missed, please feel free to let me know. If not, I look forward to seeing you here again and teaching you how to crochet. Bye.